who came to join us. What's up, y'all? It's LaQuela Doll, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'm talking about my birth story. So, if you didn't know, yes, I had a new baby. I have a new baby. Oh, I'm just gonna jump right into it. So the night before he was born May 30th. And the night before he was born, I worked in the salon. And let me tell you, girl, I was barely getting around. Like, I just knew something was wrong. Well, I ain't gonna say wrong, but different. So everybody in the salon is like, girl, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, you know. Just kind of slowly moving around. And then once I finished my client, I went to my grandmother's house. And my grandmother looked at me and she was like, girl, you about to have that baby. So I'm like, oh Lord, like not this early. So I'm telling you, I didn't have any bags packed. I didn't have anything. So I ended up going to my mom's house, and where my mom lived and where I live is like an hour and 30 minutes away. So I didn't go home that night. I decided to stay at my mom's, which was a good, I'm so glad I did, because my doctor is also in the same city that my mom lives in. I go home and I'm tired and I'm like, okay, I'm just about to lay down, well, to my mom's house. And I just lay down, and I'm laying there. And it's like, at this time, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. And my daughter's laying beside me, and all I felt was like this rush, and I kind of like, oh my God, am I peeing on myself? So I jumped up and like ran in my mother's, no, I went to the bathroom that's closest to the room that I sleep in, and it was just like, I don't know. I was kind of confused as to whether my water broke or what was going on, because it was also kind of blood there too. So I was like, oh my God, this can't be good. And so I used the restroom in there, and then I hurried and went into my mother's restroom. And she woke up and was like, what are you doing? What's wrong? Like, why are you up so early? And I'm like, I think my water just broke. And she's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, well, I'm gonna go to the hospital. And she ended up getting up with me, which the hospital is literally right around the corner from her house. So she ended up going to the hospital with me, and I was kind of scared because I'm like, oh my God, it's COVID. Is she gonna get to stay with me? But they ended up letting her come in with me, because they sent me straight to labor and delivery. I went in and literally, like, they sent me back. And then we ended up going into the labor and delivery room, and my doctor, shout out to him, that's my guy, he showed up pretty quick, and the lady ended up doing some sort of test to try to see if my water actually broke or not. But at that time, I still was bleeding. So my doctor came in, he did tests, he hooked me up to the ultrasound machine, in which, you know, when you come into labor delivery, they automatically hook you up to the monitors to check the baby and everything. So I was already hooked up to those machines. And my doctor, he came in, he hooked me up to the ultrasound machine. And he's looking around, and I'm like, okay, like, what's wrong? Like, what's tell me something, because he wasn't really saying much. And then he's like, well, I can't really see where the blood is coming from, or what's causing you to bleed, but you know, the baby's still in good health. But let's go ahead and get him out of there while he's in good condition. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm only 34 weeks. Like, I still got a long way to go, pretty much. Backtrack. Oh, like a couple days before I had just had my appointment, my 34-week appointment. And he kept telling me like my blood pressure was high, kind of high, and to take this different stuff. And he kind of made the assumption like if you make it, so I think he kind of already knew. So yeah, so then he pretty much told them like get the operating room ready, we're getting ready to have a baby. And I immediately was like, oh my god, I'm not prepared. I don't have any bags packed. Nobody, I mean, like, I didn't situate my kids, like, this, because I have 2 older children. And I'm like, this ain't right. Like, I can't, no, just no. But anyway, I didn't tell him no, because obviously I couldn't say no. But he kind of, broke it down to me and was telling me like, well, he's a nice size, because he was probably gonna be a pretty big boy had I stayed pregnant the entire time, because he, even at 34 weeks, he was already almost 5 pounds. So he was like, he'll be fine, but as soon as he is born, we will be transporting him to another hospital, which is closer to where I live. And I'm like, okay, I ain't never experienced this before. Like, I've never had a baby stay in a NICU, which will be a whole nother story time. And I already knew I had to have a C-section. So, like I said, so they started getting the OR room ready. And then in comes this little lady, the little nurse, and then another little lady from like the lab. And she's saying like, here you go. She's saying, she comes in with her little thing, the little cart they hold. And I'm like, oh, are you about to like draw my blood or what's going on? And she was like, oh no, we're about to COVID test you. No, ma'am, you're not. So I pretty much told the lady, I was like, no, you're not. Like, I'm not having a COVID test done. For one, my anxiety is through the roof. And my mind is racing, so fast, because for one, I'm not prepared. 2, like, I'm getting ready to have a whole new baby this fast, and like nothing's, like, I just moved from out of state to my home, to into a new house. So the house isn't, like, his room isn't done. And then it's like, okay, not only that, when my baby is born, my baby has to leave me, which I've never experienced. And on top of that, I haven't had a C-section in 8 years. So, and it's, all this COVID stuff is going on. And I'm like, okay, how, this is going to be different. Something about this is going to be different. So I told her, no, I'm not taking the COVID test. She's like, well, it's mandatory. You don't have a choice. And I was like, yes, I do. You can't force me to do anything. So then the nurse was like, ma'am, you have to do this. And I was like, ma'am, no, I don't. And my mom was looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, because I had already had this conversation with her, like, they're not going to force me to take a COVID test. Like, you cannot force me to do anything. Like, what are you going to do, leave the baby in there? But anyway, so the nurse rushes out of the room, and I can hear her telling my doctor, she refuses to take the COVID test. And he's like, so you can't make her. I'm like, that's why I love you. That's why you my guy. Anyway, so she comes back in, and she tells the lab lady, like, well, he said, we can't force her to take it. And I'm sitting there like, and if he said that I had to, I still was taking it. Like, he can't force me either. Like, you're telling on me. Anyway, that's water under the bridge. So they prep me to get ready to go to the OR, and I'm freaking out. Like, oh my God, this is finna, like, I didn't like show it, but I'm freaking out. So we go into the ER and they get me on the table and they get ready. They do my epidural. And I was scared of that. I'm like, okay, I don't recall it hurting in the past 2 times, but is something different going to be different this time? But it wasn't. It was totally fine. And then and it's crazy because the same anesthesiologist still works there. Then, lays me back. He's like, lay back. I lay back, and he puts the mask over my face, the oxygen in, and the mask over my face. Oh my God, that was horrible. Like, I felt like I was fainting. I felt like so much was like going on at one time. Like, once he starts the C-section, and I'm like focusing on, okay, my baby's young. How is he? What's the condition he's gonna be in? All this is going on down there, and then up here, I can't breathe. Like, and I keep telling him, like, I feel my chest tightening up. Like, so then he'll give me some medicine. I guess the medicine that he was giving me was maybe like kind of getting rid of my anxieties, because it did stop once. I don't know. It went away. And then I'll tell him again, like, are they almost done? Like, I can't breathe. Like, and then like the mask would kind of wiggle up. He would put it back up, and I'm just like, please hurry up. So then they pull the baby out and they bring him around, so that I can see him. But I'm still like, oh my God, like, I cannot hold my baby. He was so tiny. I didn't get a chance to hold him. They called the hospital from the other city to come and pick him up. So by the time they pulled him out, the hospital was already there to pick him up. I do not recall with my other kids, like, I do not recall it taking so long for them to sew me up. Like, it took forever. Like, I was like, I'm dying. Like, I gotta be dying. So finally, I asked the guy, like, are they done? And he's like, well, yeah, they're about done. So then they do everything and put me on to the other bed, and I'm off to recovery. So then they bring the baby in there to me, and I still don't get to touch him because he's in the incubator and he's strapped down to all this stuff, getting ready for them to ship him off. And I don't know, by the time I was kind of calm then, and here comes the nurse again. And at this point, she's like pleading me, like, ma'am, if you don't take this COVID test, they're going to force you to be isolated. They're going to isolate you in this room with no windows, instead of taking you over to the other side of the hospital where you can have, a visitor and windows and a TV. And by this time, I'm just like, ma'am, I don't even care no more. But just do it. Just do it and get it over. It's like, okay, thank you so much, because my boss is riding my back. And I'm like, okay. I don't want to make y'all lives harder, but I just didn't want that all going on with me while my baby is still in. I'm bleeding. I don't know what's going on. So I went ahead and did it for her. And then she's like, thank you so much. And I was moved from the isolating room to the other side, which didn't make sense to me, because you still don't have my results back, and I can go to the other side of the hospital. You still don't know if I'm COVID positive or anything. After all that madness went on, like, my stay at the hospital was so amazing. Like, I've had babies, and my other 2 babies at the same hospital, and like, my nurse staff, like, every shift was so amazing. I'm like, girl, like, y'all my best friends. Like, y'all taking care of me, okay? So anyway, long story short, the next day, so I had my baby at about 7 o'clock. I stayed there the entire day. And then the next day, I was discharged. He discharged me. He's like, so you can go and, you know, be with your baby and, you know, things like that. So, and this, you know, I'm not going to get all the way into it because that's another video, like my NICU experience. So, but I left the next day and went to be with my baby the day after having a C-section. Like, I had to drive an hour away and go and sit with him. Like, it was not, like, oh my God. Like, I just remember being in a lot of pain and being really, really sleepy, to the point where I was kind of scared to hold him because I didn't want to drop him. But anyway, whole nother story. But yeah, like, that pretty much sums up, you know, my birth video. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to kind of touch on a little bit. Oh, yes. So, I told myself, like, okay, this is it. Like, this baby snuck up on us. Like, he was a surprise. Not a mistake, though, because we love him. We love him so much. Like, he definitely completes us. So, but I told myself, like, okay, I'm done. Like, he's the last one. So, but I was kind of scared of getting my tubes tied because I didn't know, you know, I've heard like some bad stories, like, you know, oh, it makes this worse or it makes this bad or this, things like that. So I was kind of scared. Like, I just rather do something else. So, but I had signed the paperwork at my last appointment, and I remember on the table, the lady asked my doctor, are you going to tie her tubes? Is she getting a tubal? And he was like, no. And I'm like, friend, how you going to say no? You ain't going to walk around and ask me what I want to do? Like, you just going to say no. But anyway, but later on, I understood why he said no. You know, he came into my room when he came to discharge me. You want to get out? You want to get out? Come on. When he came to discharge me, he was like, yeah, I know you were kind of, you know, kind of deciding on a tubal, but I didn't want to do it because I wanted to see the, brain fart. Oh, I wanted to see the condition of your baby. So I didn't do it. And I'm like, oh, you know, that was very thoughtful of him. So I wasn't mad. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't really. But I was just like, okay, but, you know, you're not going to consult me or nothing or ask me. But anyway. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up my birth story during COVID. Say hi. Say hi. My name is Cross. I'm the new kid on the block. You know, say hi to the camera. Say hi. Say hi. But yeah, y'all, that's it. I'll be back. Like I said, I'll be back with more videos, more baby videos, more content on him, more content, period. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, okay? And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? Sing it. Sing. What do you want from me? What do you want? Please don't grab my lips. What do you want from me?